Good afternoon. What a lovely day. So I'm Luke Omodt, and I am a 45-year resident of Blanchard County. A little bit about myself. I graduated from Sandpoint High School in 1995, and then I joined the U.S. Army. I initially joined the U.S. Army in the infantry. And I think my journey through the Army is kind of a journey that shows my life to a certain degree. When I was young, I had an idea that things just automatically happened. And so for the first 8 years of my military career, I was in the infantry. And when you're in the infantry, and I did 3 deployments while I was in the infantry. When you're in the infantry, you believe that things just magically happen. Bullets, beans, MRE, gasoline, it just magically appears. That's not how it works. After I came home from my 3rd deployment, I went to my 10-year high school reunion, and I met my wife. Well, I already knew her, but I met up with my wife. And we got married, and I realized quickly, with marriage comes new responsibilities. And some of those responsibilities were in insurance. And so I rejoined the military. I had gotten out for the 2nd time, and I rejoined the military in logistics. And so for the last 15 years of my career, I was a logistician. And as a logistician, you actually learn how things work. Bullets don't magically appear. Gasoline does not magically appear. A military, similar to a county, depends on its supply lines. I deployed again in 2010 and 2011 to Iraq, and it was a very different experience having gone through that. Those same skills as a logistician are something that I bring with me when I serve as a county commissioner. A county commissioner is a very unique job in Idaho according to the legislature. We are the only elected official that is quasi-judicial, legislative, and executive in nature. We are quasi-judicial when we rule on BOEs and when we deal with taxes. We are legislative when we write ordinances or when we're working on the comprehensive plan. And we are executive when we are dealing with the hiring of staff. It is the only elected office in the entire state that has all 3 of these roles. It's also very unique. And you find our responsibilities clearly outlined in Title 31 of Idaho Code. And what's important to consider with that is the rule of law. If we, as county commissioners, or any elected official in the state of Idaho, attempt or try to expand our authority past with the legislature, which by default is a reflection of the people, what we are doing is we are going against the will of the people. And I think that's an important thing to take into account because we are often asked, as county commissioners, to expand authority past what the law says. And I'd like to give you some of the examples of what's actually going on in Blanchard County. And I'm going to start with the comprehensive plan. Blanchard County is in its 3rd iteration of the comprehensive plan. In 1907, when Blanchard County was formed, there was no zoning. In 1978, when the Idaho legislature passed LUPA, the Local Land Use Planning Act, it created the requirement for there to be a comprehensive plan. And the very first and most important element of LUPA is private property rights. Without the 16 different components that are associated with a comprehensive plan, there is no plan. So Blanchard County passes its first zoning in 1979. In 2005, we do our update. And now in 2024, we are on our 3rd iteration. We are making data-influenced decisions, not based upon ideas, but we are making data-influenced decisions after having made a map with GIS of the last 5 years of building location permits. And what this data empirically shows are the facts of where the growth has been. Not ideas of how much growth there may or will not be or could be, but there has been growth, as we all know, as we drive through Bonner County. As a kid, there was approximately 18,000 people when my parents lived up here. Now we're around 53,000 people. We have 1,735 miles in Bonner County, which comes up to approximately 30 people per square mile. We are more densely populated than much of Idaho. We are much less densely populated than much of the rest of the United States. Some of the things that are being done when we make these determinations are completely grounded upon law. And one of the big issues that we have is the cities would like the county in their areas of city impact to have the county enforce their regulations. I am opposed to that because unincorporated residents do not pay city taxes and they should not be stuck with the burden of city regulations. The legislature very wisely this year, in my opinion, cleaned this up. And so there is going to be a drastic change in the way that Bonner County addresses this area. In addition, garbage. You don't think about garbage a lot, but in Bonner County in 2022, our garbage increased by 5,000 tons. So while our population increased approximately 2%, the amount of garbage that we produced was 10% more than the previous year. I don't know where it's coming from, but I know that we are all paying for that, and you are paying for the staff to be able to manage that. An interesting thing about garbage, in a human error, a solid waste site attendant accepted a set of batteries from an electric vehicle. The cost to the taxpayer was approximately $10,000 to be able to process that. There are incredible changes as we look at these changing technologies. One of them also is the impact of electric vehicles upon our roads. Electric vehicles have a much greater gross vehicle weight, which affects our ability to maintain our asphalt. There was a question about the impact of federal funds within Bonner County. Bonner County is approximately 55% public lands. 40% is federal lands, 15% is state lands. Bonner County has been receiving federal highway funds since the 1950s. There are always strings attached. Primarily, we go through a procurement process with a procurement advisor, and we work in concert with the Bonner County Prosecutor's Office or whichever particular department that may or may not be. For example, the Colburn Solid Waste Improvement Project is being administered by the USDA. Every step of that process is in line with the federal procurement policy in order for the Bonner County residents to see the improvements upon that site. Another example is the EMS Station 1 project that is happening on Division Street across from the Bonner County Administration Building. The benefit to the taxpayer by the prudence of prior boards is as soon as we open that building in the fall of 2024, we will be saving approximately $10,000 per month from moving our EMS from a building that we lease that is dilapidated, that if you've been here long enough, you remember that originally it was a motel, and then it housed Big Sky Ambulance, and now it's a money pit. We are spending a lot of money. That facility will also house a modern facility for the coroner and will give Bonner County room to grow, and it was done without having an additional taxpayer burden placed upon you and I locally. Here's an interesting question when we start talking about federal stuff and cybersecurity. $100 million flows through the Bonner County's Treasurer Office in assessed taxes. That is disseminated through the 54 taxing districts of Bonner County. Cybersecurity is no longer something where you just think about it in a movie, because I know that high school kids, college kids, they're younger, they're faster, and they're far more efficient with technology. It's only been since yesterday that I was made fun of by a 25-year-old as he watched me singly giving a text. In a 1-month period of time, Bonner County had 25,000 unauthorized attempts to our servers. And we have 2 technology departments. There's the Bonner County Technology Department, and the sheriff also has a number of staff members that maintain and monitor technology for the sheriff, the prosecutor, and for the coroner. So when I'm talking about 25,000 unauthorized attempts to get into the systems that distribute $100 million, that does not even take into account the number of unauthorized attempts that we're trying to get to the sheriff's department. Of those 25,000 attempts, half were from foreign countries.
Were any of them successful?
No, they have not been.
So our system is working very well as is.
Can I ask a whole questions until after so that everybody gets to hear what they're saying? So say those. You know where you're going.
Another thing that is going on that is partially in reference to those federal funds, Bonner County has received grants from the state of Idaho, which is pass-through money, for 7 new bridges. Bonner County is also unique in regards to our topography. Bonner County we are the county with the majority of the state's water. In Bonner County alone, we have 21% of the state's standing water. We do not, however, receive 21% of the funds associated with waterways, which creates a crazy burden upon the taxpayers when we are asked to patrol Priest Lake, Priest River, the Pend Oreille River, and Lake Pend Oreille. It is a huge amount of waterways that we are responsible for. With waterways come bridges. There are 94 bridges in Bonner County between public and private. 7 of those are being replaced at this time. 7 bridges is $21.4 million, of which Bonner County has an approximate match of $250,000. That is an excellent return on investment. If you go to our Bonner County website, you will notice that we are upgrading it. We needed to upgrade it because the 1990s have since passed, and we are working to improve the self-service options so that people can have more visibility and transparency in regards to what is going on with the county. A good example of that is if you go to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I can't speak about the Sagal Bike Park, but I will tell you that there were 600 plus citizen comments, either for, support, or neutral. And that is impressive that that many people are that engaged in regards to land use decisions that the commissioners have. Additionally, in regards to planning and zoning, if you go online, you can actually see the real amount of zone changes, map amendments that have been proposed, building location permits, and you can see the empirical data which shows that actually construction has slowed in Bonner County. Also, what has slowed through the additional use of technologies is greater adherence to our, I would say, pretty free market building environment. Bonner County is one of the 3 least regulated counties in the state of Idaho. Out of the 44 counties, we are one of only 3 that does not have a building department, and it's been that way since the 90s. I can also tell you I have no interest in bringing back the building department at this time. So the comprehensive plan, and that's where I'm going to end before I pass it off to Mr. Korn or Mr. Borisov, who's next, is being done through data-influenced decisions. The information will be posted next week, and you will be able to see the same tool, and you'll be able to analyze the same information that our Planning Commission is doing. So you too will be able to look and have a bird's eye view of where the growth has been and what your Planning Commission is doing. The land use component is the final and what many people would think is the most important component of our comprehensive plan. This is where the pictures on the map, where the zones and the land use designations are changed. But what you can see through this tool is how much carrying capacity the land has and where the growth has been. With that, thank you very much, Luke Omodt, and I am your incumbent Bonner County Commissioner for District 3. Thank you.